Hey guys, welcome back. We are doing lesson 9 in Wit and Wisdom. Remember, our essential question is about the unique features of animals. What do we know about animals with unique features? What have we discovered about them? We know every animal is a little bit different, don't we? And we've been talking about that. Good. So our focus question is, what lessons can we learn through stories about animals? We've learned several different stories, haven't we? We have learned several different stories about our animals. Think about the hare and the tortoise. The lesson from the text was the race is not always to the swiftest, but the lesson that we get out of that is even if you're slow, if you keep going, you can win the race. Don't give up. Keep going steadily. The ants and the grasshopper lesson from the text is there's a time for work and a time for play. The lesson is always plan ahead and work hard. And then 7 blind mice, the lesson from the text, knowing in part may make a fine tale, but wisdom comes from seeing the whole. So our lesson is knowing all the parts will help you find out the whole. So those are different lessons we have learned so far. Our content framing is, what does a deeper exploration of the character's actions reveal in 7 blind mice? So we are going to dig deep into our story and talk about characters' actions. Okay, and today we're going to introduce the Socratic seminar. But first, before we get busy with that, let's step into our fluency worksheet and let me share my screen with you. So you don't want to see that. Let me close this so I can get to my nope, wrong one. Fluency, there we go. So our fluency sheet here, let's practice reading it. Ah, now I see the something is as sturdy as a pillar, as supple as a snake, as wide as a cliff, as sharp as a spear, breezy as a fan, stringy as a rope, but altogether the something is an elephant. Great job, guys. I hope you're practicing nightly the fluency sheet, okay? Make sure you continue on with that. So let's go back to our lesson here. And I want us to listen to our friend talk a few minutes.
Hello, first grade friends, and welcome back to Wit and Wisdom in Sync. My name is Tanisha Spears, and I'm excited to jump into our learning. But before we do, let's make sure you have all of your materials ready. For this, you will need your copy of 7 Blind Mice if you have one. You'll need your Wit and Wisdom in Sync journal and a pencil. We will all go over the focusing question task assessment, but I'll show you that on the screen. Pause the video now if you need to gather your materials. In our previous lesson, we had the opportunity to identify the lesson in 7 Blind Mice and that supported that lesson. We also had the opportunity to begin orally rehearsing the informed paragraph for a focusing question task. In today's lesson, we'll continue working on your focusing question task. But before we jump to that, let's take a moment to review our big question or our essential question for this module. And our essential question is, what can we discover about animals' unique features? I'll say it one more time. What can we discover about animals' features. While we were reading Seven Blind Mice, we read about some features of an elephant, except at first, many of the mice didn't realize it was an elephant. And once the white mouse explored all of the features, the colorful mice discovered that it actually was an elephant. While we've been building knowledge to answer that big question, we've also been thinking about what lessons we can learn through stories about animals. And I want to remind you that the learning and the thinking that you have been doing each day while reading the news helps you answer that question. It helps you answer the question of what lessons can we learn through stories about animals. I just mentioned all the learning and thinking that you've been doing while reading the fables, and up to this point, you have read fables. One of Aesop's fables called The Hare and the Tortoise, and the other is The Seven Blind Mice. And today, you'll discuss how these fables have built your knowledge. Take a look at your screen. You will see a knowledge journal, and we've used this before. On the left-hand side is the part where you will list all of the new information you've learned. And on the right-hand side is where you will share all of the skills that you can do as a reader and a writer. Now I want you to think, what did you learn from reading the two fables? Share with your learning partner. I'm going to share some things that I learned. I share, see if what you have learned matches.
Okay, so what I want you to do is in your journal, on your piece of, you're going to have to open it up and you're going to have two pieces of paper. On one side of your journal, I want you to write what I know, and on the other, what I can do. So you're going to have two pieces of paper opened up. Let me show you here. So if I open up my journal like this, I'm going to write over here what I know, what I can do. You've got two different pieces of paper there, okay? Make sure you've done that.
What I've learned. I've learned the fables teach lessons, and the characters that are in fables are often animals. Did you learn some of those new things? Maybe you also learned about how tortoises usually move steadily and hares usually move swiftly. Now, let's think about what you learned to do as a reader and a writer. Before I share my thinking, share something that you've learned to do as a reader and writer with your learning partner. Here's something that I learned to do as a reader and a writer. I learned that I can find the lesson in a fable and that I can write information about a topic. Soon, you'll be able to show what you know how to do as a writer by writing a response to your first focusing question task in Module 2. Pause the video now to get your journal and a pencil if you don't have it already. All right, now you are going to record aloud or write at least one thing you know and one thing you can do from reading the two fables. I'll say it one more time. You are going to record aloud or write at least one thing you know and one thing you can do from reading the two fables. Pause it.
Okay, so now in your journal, I'm going to stop sharing for the moment and we'll put it on the board together. Where's my mouse? Let me go back over here. All right, so that way we are up close. So let's think about, what do we know? What can we write in our journal? So what I know. So on that one side, you have what I know. So think about that. Okay, we know the characters are usually animals. Characters are usually animals. Good. What's something else we know? We know that it teaches a lesson, right? Fables teach a lesson. Okay. So let's think about what you can do. What you can do. So I'm going to put what I can do. Okay. So let's think about what can I do? I can find the lesson in the story. I can find a lesson in a story. What else can you do? You can speak in complete sentences, can't you? Good. Now make sure you have that in your journal. Okay? Make sure you have that written in your journal and make sure you put today's date on it. You do not have to turn this into me, okay? This is something that you will keep up with in your journal, All right. All right, so let's go back to sharing. Okay.
The video now to record aloud or write.
All right, so we just did that.
Before we continue, pause the video to take a moment to stretch or take a quick break. When you're done, unpause the video.
Okay, stretch. Fingers, stretch those fingers because you've worked really hard at writing those sentences. Woo. Okay.
Welcome back, friends. You are going to get ready to write your informative paragraph for your first focusing question task in Module 2. To get you ready to complete that task, take a look at the handout on your screen. This is Assessment 8A, Focusing Question Task 1. We are going to look over this assessment together. We'll go through the steps for how to do the task, and after the video, you'll know what to write. Your classroom teacher will tell you how to show your work and then how to turn it in. I want you to think, what type of paragraph have we been working on? What type of paragraph have we been working on?
Oh, do you remember the hamburger?
Tell your learning partner.
What was it? An informative paragraph, remember? Let's see if we're right.
I'm sure you said it. We've been working on informative paragraphs. Now, let's read the prompt. Write an informative paragraph.
State the lesson of the text, seven blind mice.
I'll read it one more time. Write an informative paragraph stating the lesson of the text, Seven Blind Mice. What is the prompt asking you to do? Think about that for a minute. What is the prompt asking you to do?
What is it wanting us to do? Write a paragraph stating the lesson, right? Okay.
Yes, you'll be writing an informative paragraph with 3 parts: a topic statement, details, and a conclusion. Now, let's review the information we discussed about the lesson of Seven Blind Mice to help get you ready to write. Remember, the first part to our informative paragraph is our topic statement. So you can use this sentence frame, the lesson of Seven Blind Mice is, for your topic statement. And remember, the lesson is knowing all the parts will help you figure out the whole. Now, remember, the next part of our informative paragraph is the information. And remember, that's where we're going to have the facts and the details. And here are some details that help support the lesson. The mice each went to one part. They did not know what it was. The white mouse went to all the parts. He knew what it was. Now, here's the sentence frame that you can use to help you write your conclusion. Remember, this is the lesson from the text. Knowing in may make a fine tale or story, but wisdom comes from seeing the, and remember, you would fill in the blank lines. Let's take a moment to put it all together one more time so that you can rehearse orally before you begin writing. The lesson of Seven Blind Mice is, and remember, you'd fill in the blank lines. And then on that second blank line, you'd add your details that support your topic statement. And then you'd end with your conclusion. Knowing in may make a fine tale, but wisdom comes from seeing the. Take a moment now to rehearse your informative paragraph.
Okay, now remember, the lesson of the Seven Blind Mice is knowing all the parts will help you find out the whole. And then our details, remember that the white mouse found out all the parts by running around, whereas the colorful mice just looked at the different parts. In conclusion, you can say that in knowing in part may make a fine tale, but wisdom comes from seeing the whole. Okay.
All right, now it's time to write. You're going to write an informative paragraph about the lesson of Seven Blind Mice. Be sure you include a topic statement that names the text and states the lesson, that you have 2 or more details from the text that support the lesson, that you have a conclusion and complete sentences that begin with a capital letter and end with punctuation marks. Are you ready? Pause the video now to complete your first focusing question task of Module 2.
Okay, so we're going to write this together. So I'm going to stop sharing so that way you can see my board back here. So I'm going to erase. Okay. Here's my paper. Let me get my pencil out here. Whoops. Okay, So our first sentence that we're going to write is the topic sentence. Our topic sentence. And the topic sentence is this right here. So you're going to write this on your paper. And you have this piece of paper that is a hamburger shape. It's 9A. Now this all may not fit on that. So you may want to put it in your journal. It's up to you. Okay. But long as you turn it in so I can see what you have done. So the lesson of 7 blind mice. The lesson of 7 blind mice is knowing all the parts will help figure out the whole. Will help figure out the whole. So that's our topic sentence. So let's think about 2 details that we could use there to help us do this. We know that each colorful mouse explored one of the elephant, right? So that would be 1. Each colorful mouse explored one part of the strange something, because they didn't know it was an elephant until later. Strange something. Okay. Whereas, what did the white mouse do? The white mouse explored all the strange something and found out it was an elephant. Period. Okay. So now we have to have a conclusion to our story. And our conclusion would be, let me raise it up so I can, oh, maybe not. Knowing in part may make a fine tale, but seeing the whole is better. Okay. So now that you have put that on your paper, you have written your informative paragraph, okay? That is your informative paragraph. So I'm going to take us back to our share screen. Okay.
All right, awesome first graders. Wow, nice job writing an informative paragraph that will teach others about the lesson of 7 mice. Next time we'll be reading a new text. Until then, be kind and do something great because you are capable of greatness.
Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing. All right, we have worked really hard at writing a informative paragraph today. That was amazing, guys. So let's talk a minute about punctuation. Notice we had our punctuation in our story. We used a lot of periods, didn't we? Yes. But what I would like to show you is some types of punctuation, okay? So let me get this chart here. Okay, so this is types of punctuation that we will see throughout different lessons, okay? We have periods that we use in declarative sentences, like informational sentences, being, this is my cat. It declares something. Then we also see a period for imperative, meaning a bossy or a command, like sit down. That would use a period also. Then we have interrogative sentences that end with a question mark, like, what time is it? So you'd put a question mark. Then you have the type of exclamation, which is an exclamatory sentences that shows excitement, like, wow, look at that, okay? And an imperative can also be a bossy or excited sentence, like sit down now, okay? So you have 3 different types of punctuation that you need to be using when you are writing or creating your sentences, okay? Period, question mark, and exclamatory mark or exciting mark. Oops. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed it. We've done a lot of writing today, so just relax, okay? And make sure you turn that in for me. All right, I will see you soon.